Claudia was perhaps my last student in Parma. We began working together at a time when I had already planned to leave for Berlin. I'm not taken to hasty decisions, that's a thing of my youth. And so it became immediately clear to me when I met Claudia that she was serious about wishing to improve her language skills, and she was determined, despite the fact that she had so much other work to get on with. She was always punctual and prepared. So therefore making the decision to work with her despite the limited time was an easy one. It's not always the case that people who are doing more important work, perhaps at university or elsewhere, are similarly responsible. I have had some very interesting excuses presented to me by students. One young man, I recall, called me pissed out of his head, I think is the official term, at 4 in the morning, declaring his inappropriate state and that I would do better to plan my day without any expectation of his presence within it. Claudia communicated, therefore, a commitment to learning, which left me no doubt that she would apply herself, that she would be present and punctual, and that when she made a decision, that was that, quite frankly. Having spoken with Claudia again now, after all these years, it would appear that all of these traits have held her in good stead. She has achieved all of her academic targets. She has travelled, has a caring family, and is working in an industry that remains fundamental in times of uncertainty. I am hopeful that in future chats, Claudia will speak more about her job so that we can come to understand just how important her sector is. In the meantime, thank you, Claudia, for giving up your time to speak with me. So I'm joined by Claudia, who we hadn't spoken for almost 10 years because I used to help you with your English language training all those years ago back in Parma. So, Claudia, I'm really happy that we've managed to maintain some form of contact.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange to talk after 10 years, but it's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember I think the first time that you sent me a message was after the very unfortunate event in Berlin. Do you remember the terrorist attack at the Christmas market? And then you sent a message saying, are you guys okay? Is everything all right? Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I removed this from my mind, but now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was a very nice gesture from you. So it was obviously a very tragic event, and so it's something that it's poignant. It's something which stands out in my mind. So I was very grateful at the time for your attention in that case. But yeah, 10 years, Claudia. So much has changed in that time, in the world, in Europe, in our lives. If you think back to 10 years ago, would you have ever thought that you'd be working practically from home in the way that you are?
Yeah, no, actually, I was just a student at the time, so I was, I had a lot of idea, a lot of, I could do this, I can go there and study and work there. And now I'm at home working in smart working after a pandemic year, so and trying to keep our family balance between work, kid and school and everything. So no, I couldn't imagine anything like that. No,
Yeah.
at all.
And I mean, people who listen to you speak, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. There was clearly she's Italian. She's clearly of Italian origin, but there's also an element of French in there. And so, you've tell me a bit about who you are, where you're from, and so that maybe then we can start to build up a little bit of a background.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I was born in a little town near Milan, and yeah, my family is I have two siblings, and yeah, actually one twin sister, and yeah, we spent a lot of time together, and then when it was time to choose our path or university, my brother decided to goes and live in London and study there. My sister had some experience abroad and then decided to live abroad as well. And what about me? I started to study in Milan and then moved to Parma to finish my studies. And also I joined a PhD program there. That I'm so proud of it and so happy to yeah, to the opportunity to do it. And yeah, then I decided to go abroad to live in France for a while. Not really for a while, for 4 or 5 years.
That's quite a while, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, then I decided to come back to Italy, and I'm living even if I'm back to Italy, I live in a new city. It's a new city for me. It's Genova. It's a very nice city, but it's quite not so big, and everyone. You can easily meet everyone in the street, and so it's not really like Milan. It's more close to Parma.
Yeah, I often comment to people that Berlin as a reality, it's in between my experiences in Parma and my sort of upbringing in London, because within 1 week of living in Italy, it's people would say ciao inglese, and I think in some places in London where I'd lived for years, people didn't say hello to me at all. So this sense of neighborhood, neighborly behavior, friendliness, openness. It's a really charming trait that you see quite commonly in Italy.
Yeah, but you feel closer to this kind of life, or do you prefer a London style that you can? No, my brother always tell me that you can probably walk naked in the street and nobody care about you. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's an extreme.
Yeah, I think in London it's much easier to lose yourself. So you can be in a situation where nobody will know you, and there are many places that you can be in London where you can essentially hide yourself in public. Whereas these smaller realities, everybody knows who you are, everybody knows who you're with, who your friends are, your family history. And if you did some crazy stuff when you were a kid, when you're older, other people's parents say, yeah, that's the kid that set fire to the butcher, yeah, for example. And so there is this balance. I do appreciate this sense of community,
Yeah.
Claudia. So for me, that's also why I really like Berlin, because they say Berlin, it's a collection of villages, because everywhere is called Dorf, yeah, and so at the end almost everywhere is called Dorf, and Dorf means village, and so you do have this localized identity within different parts of Berlin, so it's quite similar. But yeah, I've never been to Genoa. And I know that Genoa was a city-state, so it has some very, very rich history. It was also famous for supplying different nations with mercenary bowmen in the old days. Like crossbows and so on. They used to create their own crossbows, and they had their trained crossbow mercenaries. I mean, are you familiar at all with the Genoan history or the city-state history of Italy?
Not really, but I'm very curious because I didn't told you, but my dad comes from Genoa. So the
Ah,
strange story is that I have some part of the family here. I'm not very. I'm close to them, but I don't see them very often. So sometimes we talk about how our family are, let's say, involved in a part of Italian history. I don't know if you know Garibaldi, who is he left from Genoa, I think from Quarto actually, and to go to Sicily, so and fight against Borboni. And so I think that I have I don't know how do you call it in English, but a person from my family, from my past, that joined him. So he sailed with him from Genoa and got to Sicily. And then actually he wanted to follow, it seemed he wanted to follow Garibaldi in but I think after a few days he decided just to quit and he came back.
okay.
Yeah, that's the story. And so once I read the book about him, so they wrote about the Lucchi. This is the person from my family, and so you know sometimes when I have the opportunity, I try to go deep, go through this. But no, I can't say that I know everything about the history of Genova or Italian history. But
Yeah, I mean, Garibaldi was one of the key figures in the unification and the independence of an modern
yes,
Italian state. Yeah,
yeah, correct, yeah.
yeah.
And so I still have some documents at my parents' place where you can find some of the mille that are the people that sailed with Garibaldi from Genoa with D'Annunzio. So you can see this photo with all these mille and D'Annunzio and some paper related that explain the story of this history.
Yeah. It was also interesting for me to learn that Garibaldi used to be a trader, and he used to go quite frequently up to the northeast of England and traded in Newcastle with the Geordies there. And apparently he was very well liked in Newcastle, and he really enjoyed being in Newcastle because they're really friendly up there.
And they traded what?
Yeah, I have no idea what he traded. I imagine it will be something like silks and so on, but
Okay,
again,
that
I don't
time
know.
probably.
But I mean, when we later on, we'll talk a little bit about this sense of a European identity, and it's sometimes we don't really appreciate exactly how much of our different communities are connected through these individuals who sort of travel around and they trade, they politic, they deal, with the different communities and societies, and it's interesting, very interesting. So, you went to after you finished your studies, and so you did your PhD in Parma.
Actually, I started to work before I finished my PhD. So I had kind of very tough 6 months because I was at work during the day, and then in the during the evening, the night, I was writing my PhD thesis. So at the end, I was very happy because it was finished.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and do you? But
Yeah.
you don't insist on me calling you doctor. So I mean, if you wish, I'm more than happy to give you the honorific, which you deserve.
No, sorry, Zach, I didn't get you.
Yeah, you didn't say to me that I should call you Doctor Claudia,
No, no, no. No,
but
don't worry.
in your communications, I mean, do you include Doctor Claudia, blah blah blah, PhD or not?
No, it depends because, sometimes uh, even in my current job, I guess it's not necessary. Maybe at some level it's nice to put it in my communication because maybe you have to deal with other PhD or so I think it's correct to include it, but at some level I think it's just not necessary. I'm Claudia,
Mm,
so
no.
it's not necessary for people to know that I'm graduated or I have a PhD or so.
But I remember following a discussion online where women, for example, with either master's degrees or with PhDs, they were discussing whether or not they should include this kind of information in their communications because there is an issue with gender equality, clearly.
Yeah,
And when you have worked so hard and you have attained this level of qualification, and then still there is this element of disrespect from people who haven't. I mean, I'm nowhere near that level of education. And for people to not show you that respect, A, on the basis that you are a human being and you deserve your respect anyway,
yeah.
um, but to then also consider themselves in some way superior based on gender, um, don't you find that really frustrating?
Yeah, to some extent, yeah, I can say yes, because especially in Italy, because when I was in France, for instance, if you have a PhD, you are treated, I mean, not in terms of money, but in a different way. You have the of course a different level just because you have studied more, so you start from a different level compared to other people that have maybe other expertise. But in Italy it's not true, you because they do not consider a PhD as a job. Okay, we studied during a PhD program, but it's basically a job with a salary, so it must be uh, recognized as an actual job. So I think this is the frustrating part, that it seems that you have been at the university, you just lead some certain research project, but it's not really recognized. And especially if you are a woman that works in a scientific and technical environment, is even more difficult because we are in 2021, but I mean we are still we live still in the past for people in this kind of environment are mostly men. So I can say that we are not really treated in the same way, especially if you have a different level, if you studied more, if you have a PhD or a master or whatever. So yeah, it's sad to say, but I can say that it still work like this.
Mm. Do you think some of your colleagues in the past, I mean, not necessarily today, but generally speaking, do you think some men find your level of education intimidating?
Yeah, maybe sometimes, I mean, they didn't express this, of course, but I felt that maybe this could create be a problem. Of course, for me it wasn't a problem. It's a problem of other people.
Mm,
So I don't care actually. I feel that it could be strange for other people, for men, but I don't care.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are okay. I remember obviously because we kind of worked together for a few months, so I got to know you a little bit, and I always was impressed with your confidence. You always pushed yourself. I think that's fair to say. It's quite easy to say, especially to somebody who has a PhD. So that's not the most enlightening observation, but to be able to go and work in that kind of environment, and then also to say they had problems, but I don't care. That's their problem. Not every woman in the same situation feels comfortable enough to behave like that. How would you say that you develop? How was it possible for you to develop that kind of confidence to say, I'm working here, that's the fact?
Yeah, I think it depends also on the character of the person. But if you choose to be in a certain environment that is technical, scientific, and of course, women are numerically, let's say, less than men, because it's still like this today. And yeah, I think you have to cope with this because you cannot change people. I mean, I met some very nice people in France, in Italy, in my job, but I also met men or people that have a problem with this. So you just have to cope with this. You cannot do anything else, and just go straight and do your job without uh, I mean, caring too much about what people say or what they think.
Mm. I mean, there have been lots of cases where there have been some very unpleasant experiences reported. And recently there was an event, they called it a hackathon by an organization called Safe Circles, where they wanted to produce different kinds of technologies which would make women feel safe, either at work, at home, in public
Okay.
areas, and so on. So
Yeah.
my question to you is, when you were confronted by a person who perhaps wasn't quite as respectful as he should have been, did you still feel safe in your company? Did you feel that there was some organization which protected you?
Yeah, actually, I always feel safe. I cannot say anything different regarding safety or this topic. Yeah, I just felt that the person in front of me didn't have any respect of my job or I mean my person. So I didn't have any other problem, just
Mm.
this.
It's
Yeah.
better to hear it this way, at least. And what about with regards to sort of seniority within the company? So obviously you mentioned that there were less women than men, generally speaking, in the scientific community.
Yeah.
But in positions of authority, are women represented as well, or not so much?
No, I can say so much maybe about this, but I mean, for certain roles, I can say that only men are considered. I can maybe understand the reason why, but not totally. Because I'm sometimes I just trying to understand the point of view of the company, how they have to deal with it, the fact that maybe women at a certain age have a desire of maternity, or they are maybe less available to for a career. But I mean, we can make a list of a lot of problems, but still this cannot justify some behavior, some choice of companies.
Okay.
So some roles are, of course, of men. Other, like human resource, this kind of role where you have to deal with the people, are more for women. So we are still at this point.
Mm. And is that more prevalent in Italy than in France, or is it the same, do you think?
Yeah, I can say that in France was slightly better. In my experience, of course, I didn't work for a lot of company. I just have a few reference, and I just have a job experience in Italy and France. So, but I talk with people. I have a lot of friends that live abroad, so I can say that I know a little bit how it works, let's say in Europe or abroad. And yeah, in France, I can say it was a little bit better, because also at society level, it's women are more supported than in Italy. So of course it is reflected also in their job. But yeah, I think it's still it's really a slight difference. And yeah, here in Italy, I can feel it stronger. So yeah.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. I mean, Europe as an area pretty much developed quite similarly. Obviously, there are regional differences, national differences in the development, but these ideas of equality and respect should perhaps be uniform across the European Union and across Europe, and it's not that case. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's not that case. Yeah, I can say I think in Italy we are a far cry from what I expected, actually, because coming back from to Italy, no, I had a lot of expectation, and at the end I found exactly the same things that I experienced in the past. So it hasn't changed so much in my point of view.
Mm. And what about like cultural diversity? So is Italy developing in the sense of cultural diversity? Do you see more people coming into Italy from different parts of the world?
Yeah, I think, of course, people that come to Italy, I think they are very attracted from the quality of life, very well known abroad for, foods, for how we live, our landscapes, our culture. So I can say that we attract from all the world. And but I don't know then if people can find what they expected. I mean, in terms of jobs, or yeah, if they can build a family here, if it's easy for them. I think Italy is a very nice place for the reason that I told you before, but I don't know that after that we can a person that come here can have an actual life here, find a job, or realize himself in a way. Or
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit before about it seems as though there's been a bit of an increase through populism of right-wing sentiment among the peoples of different countries. So we've seen it in France, we've seen it in the UK, we've seen it in Germany, in Austria, and a number of East European countries too. How do you feel about this move? It seems as though people are anti-immigration. There is a certain conservative approach also to women, perhaps sometimes. How do you feel about that? Are you a bit worried that Italy might move a little bit to the
yeah,
right?
yeah, of course I'm worried, especially for my kid, because I don't want him to live in a place like that where people hate each other, or discriminate people that are different, or come from a different country, a different culture. So of course I'm afraid, but we cannot do. As a mom, I can say that I can explain to my kid how is a community, how we can accept other culture, other people, and differences. So I can only pass this information to the next generation. But yeah, I mean, we are a lot in this world, so if we have to change all if we want to change an idea. So I can do my part, but I just can. I hope that all people will do their part.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about passing on to the next generation, but also we briefly discussed earlier Fridays for the Future, or Fridays for Future, I should say, and this wonderful impetus that comes from Greta Thunberg, but then also the younger generation to come in and try to positively influence politics. Are you encouraged by this positive energy that comes from the youth?
Yeah, actually, yes, because it's fresh energy that comes from young people. So they can, I think they can change, they can do something about it. But the sad part is that I'm not sure that politicians or people that have power take this seriously, because sometimes they just say they are young people that want to protest, or they do not have the actual idea of what is climate change, or how does it work. But I think they know more than we expect, actually. So I'm yeah, I think it's I feel driven by this energy of these young people, and I start to change something in my lifestyle, talking about food, or shopping, to be more conscious in my choice.
Yeah. And do you feel that it's your role as a parent to pass that sense on to your child as well?
Yeah, of course. It's my priority at the moment because yeah, it's the only way to leave them in a planet with still some resources. Otherwise, I don't know how it will end. So
Yeah. Just one other topic then. This sense of a European identity. So I remember when I was speaking with some of my just, I guess, students, but friends as well in Italy. I remember there was one guy. He said to me that I'm not proud to be Italian. I'm only proud to be Salso. So from Salso Maggiore, for
that's
example. Yeah. Um, but I mean, if we extend that a little bit, I mean, do you feel a sense of pride to be European with the kind of, do you feel there is a European culture? Because we've already established that there are many differences between the different countries, and you know really well, because your siblings also live abroad too. Do you
yeah.
feel there is a sort of common European culture?
I just can say that I live on this planet. I don't feel that I belong to Italy, to Milan, to Parma, to France, to whatever. I just feel that we are on this planet and we have just to respect it, to respect other people, to to grow empathy. I think there's a lack of it in this society, and I'm so sad about it. And yeah, I don't feel really I can't say that I'm proud of being a European or Italian or American or um, no.
No.
I I mean I just can say that I like European value or let's say Italian values, the way how we live. For instance, I feel very far from American values, how they work there, how they live their life. Of course, they are not all the same. I mean, they are different, but yeah, I feel close to these kind of values, European values, but I'm not I'm not proud.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, when you refer to the USA, I guess you're talking about labor laws, social protection, healthcare, this kind of thing, the social structure of the country.
Yeah, that sometimes maybe I have just an idea of their society because I didn't live there, but talking with people, I understood that they work a lot. Usually, they work a lot. They do not have a lot of holidays, and I don't share their way of eating the kind of food, the fast food, this kind of stuff. So I feel very far from this. Maybe they are changing. Maybe in some place it's not like that. But all in all, I can say that I'm not. I feel more close to European values.
Mm.
Yeah.
I remember in Parma there were two McDonald's restaurants, and they were both outside of the city. One was on the east, the one was on the west. I mean, you're from Milan. Do you remember there was a bit of controversy when they opened a McDonald's in the city center in Milan? Do you remember?
Yeah, but I'm the wrong person because I cannot enter in a McDonald's shop.
Yeah, that's
I'm,
what I mean. You're perfect then,
yeah,
because the Italians hated it. They were so angry that McDonald's was opened in the center of Milan. Do you
yeah,
remember that?
but there are still a lot of people that appreciate fast food like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, and my partner, for instance, I don't know if he's listening now, but he really loves KFC sometimes, and I cannot really bear this food or But I know that at a certain point my kid will come and ask me, shall we go to McDonald's? Okay, so
And what will you say?
maybe you can go with your dad. I stay home. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, cool. Claudia, I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to speak with me. We've touched on some topics. I feel
Yeah.
that there are many more things that we can jump into. So yeah, we'll have to go away and think about maybe some more topics and something which we could talk about more specifically what you do too. We didn't really touch
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
Would that be possible? Would you come back and speak with me again about more
Yeah,
different
sure.
topics?
It's my pleasure. Sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay, maybe we could even fire up a three-way chat with your brother in London too. I don't know if he's up for this kind of thing,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that would be really interesting to get somebody. And because I lived in his country, and I'd also be fascinated to hear yeah, your brother's take of an Italian living in London, and that would be quite interesting too. So
Okay, I'll
yeah,
talk with him.
yeah, see if you can sort that out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, Claudia, it's brilliant catching up with you. I wish you all the best,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, I will be in touch. Two,
Okay.
two,
Ciao.
two, and a mic. Two, and a mic.